Yo, Flat Earther Oregon, welcome. I'm Walker.
What's up? Chilling.
And yourself? Flat Earth City?
Department of
Sociology.
Wow.
That one was tough for you.
Yeah. That was I was like Sakiole guy.
Watch out. Watch out. We were just looking at this Tartarian steeple here.
Yeah, seriously.
Not Phoenician. That's definitely energy collector. Definitely, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, can't
I can
deny.
see the sparks from here.
Can't deny.
I can see the sparks flying off the steeple. Or what do you call it? The tip?
Welcome, Frequencies Illuminated.
Frequencies!
And Teddy C, welcome.
Teddy. That's the
Okay.
homie.
Let's
Yeah.
see if how old that building is, though.
Alright. Why did I step in the mud? Oh man. Oh man.
Northwestern University in Evanston. Gotta work on with the young people
Yeah, I mean
on this subject.
this is the brain facilities, the brain implementation facilities. Where the their heads are about.
Hello. Have you ever questioned the shape of the earth? Hello. Have you ever questioned the shape of the earth?
Fire.
The earth is flat. Oh, look at that one too.
Yeah, that's like a strange octahedral shape.
Hello. Have you ever questioned the shape of the earth? The earth is flat.
Thank you for this moment.
Did he say thank you?
Yeah, he said thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, dude.
You're very welcome. You are very welcome,
Brother.
sir.
So all of this is
Some flat earth
campus.
pamphlet for your tea.
Hello. Have you ever questioned the shape of the earth?
I'm sorry, thank you.
The earth is flat.
I wonder how long it would take for most people to actually look into it. Kind of strange. So taboo. They're too afraid to find out that the earth is flat. Crazy.
Wait, actually, can I put your camera?
Yeah.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Flat earth. Good. There's guys in the car. And then the person coming back with a pamphlet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I needed that.
Yeah.
It was rough there for a second at the beginning.
Yeah. The indoctrination is thick.
6 people watching, walking with us.
Yeah.
Hello. Have you ever questioned the shape of the earth? The earth is flat.
We're looking into it, base.
Tell me more. How do you know the Earth's flat?
Because
Go ahead.
long distance photography with the digital cameras that we have now shows that the curvature is non-existent. We actually can see buildings further than what they say the curvature of the earth scientifically is. And then the physics of water itself is that water always fills its container and finds a level. So there's never been a test or experiment that can prove that water bends around the outside of any surface.
Yeah, so I have a question. Do you think if I was about 8 million times the size I am now, I could pick up the Earth like a frisbee and just throw it?
Well, the Earth is actually not a disk floating in space. That's actually what you're taking the concept of the heliocentric model of floating space and you're adapting it to flat Earth. So ultimately, flat Earth is a plane, so it's a realm.
Okay.
So it's all there is. So there's up, there's down, and there's this. I don't know how far it goes. It could be limitless. It could be just as vast as space is, but we don't know.
For sure. Could I fall off the edge if I tried really hard?
But that's the point, is that the edge is in your mind because you believe in the heliocentric model. You think you're floating in
So the
space.
edge is only in my mind.
You see space.
So in my mind, can I pick up the Earth like a frisbee and throw it?
What we're saying is that space is not testable or provable. So if you actually look into it, you're getting pictures from NASA which was actually started by Walt Disney. Did you know that? Did you know
NASA
Walt
was
Disney?
started by Walt Disney.
And
Yes,
Warner
Walt
Von
Disney.
That
Braun.
explains why there's so much fun. God.
Well, yeah, they got to make it fun if they're going to trick the population into believing a lie. You know, they
It's
got to
a
make
lie?
it enjoyable. Oh, it's a lie. It's
a lie.
100% scam. If you actually
Okay.
look into it, there's no proof of space itself. There's actually no independent research to prove space. There's only governmental authoritative research. There's government agencies telling you that you
Wow.
live on a ball. And if you look at the photos, the photos are questionable within their own right, because they even say, NASA themselves say that they are CPI. They're live
We're
on,
live on YouTube.
Yeah, this is Flat Earth. So basically,
Oh.
Flat Earth City. This is his channel.
Okay, yeah, for the record, I'd like to say that I believe the Earth is round, but
We know
Round
you
like
believe
a
the Earth is
pizza,
round,
round
because
like
you
a
haven't
penny.
looked into the actual evidence. But if you look into the evidence, you'll be surprised. Just look into it. You can have your judgment right now, or you can look into the evidence and come up with an actual.
Unless someone picks up the Earth and throws it like a frisbee, I'm not interested.
Oh, okay.
That's not a logical argument. You're just lying to yourself.
Here we go.
It begins.
We made it to this corner. This must be a good corner here.
No, this is a hot spot for sure.
They're walking.
They're rocking out more.
Hello. Have you ever questioned the shape of the Earth?
Straight to numbers.
The Earth is flat.
Okay, so
Hello.
Flat Earth?
Have you ever questioned the shape of the Earth? The Earth is flat. Flat Earth?
Anybody want to check out Flat Earth? Ridiculing and making assumptions in their mind, not realizing that the heliocentric model is flawed, and they haven't even looked at the evidence to actually support that. Actually, most people disregard the evidence. Like when they see a stellarium, where the Earth is projected on the moon, on the opposite
Hello.
side of the moon, that doesn't make any sense. But yet, you guys will dismiss that because you just assume that all the scientists are telling you the truth, right? The paid government scientists that care about you, the same scientists that have done atrocities throughout mankind, throughout the centuries, those people, the authorities, they're telling you the truth. They got your interest in mind. You guarantee it.
Hello. Have you ever questioned the shape of the Earth? Have you ever questioned the shape of the Earth? The Earth is flat.
And if you look into all the information that they're giving us, like NASA and stuff like that, you'll see that the actual photos themselves, they don't even say they're photos. They call them images. They're computer graphic images. So most of them are stitch or composite. So that's a flaw right there. That's not actual photographic evidence. Number two, we're getting declarations from the government and scientists that are paid by the government telling us that we do live on a ball. But any independent research or any actual scientific, evidence to look into it is missing. Like for instance, we can see too far, right? So with modern photography and everything like that, we're seeing like 1,000 miles in the distance in infrared, which is like illogical if you live on a ball that's 25,000 miles in circumference. It just doesn't even make any sense. The curvature math doesn't add up.
Just
And
handing out
here's
flyers,
another strange thing.
letting people know about flat Earth.
You guys have like
Photography
organization.
shows a flat
Well,
horizon as high as you can go.
That's
We're supposed to
where
see
we
a
live,
curve at
so
some point in time. We're supposed to see
something
some sort
that
of
I think
drop.
everybody should
We're
know
supposed
about.
to see a
I've
ball
been
Yeah,
researching
at
for
some
2 years. So.
But
So I'm
nobody
just
ever
wondering, like,
experiences that.
how did you guys
When
like
you actually
meet
go
and
up,
organize?
it's just the flat
That,
horizon.
I met
The
him.
flatter it is.
He posted a meetup
Yeah,
for
and then here,
Flat Earth Chicago at
Like-
meetup.com, and then I
There's like a purpose
went to
behind
that.
it, like,
That was about
Oh,
a year
like, why
ago.
would they
We've been
like
doing this
invite
ever
us?
since.
yeah, like why would this be such
So-
like a big
so-
fraud?
So flat Earth is taboo, right? Like you guys know it's taboo. It's the most ridiculed thing on the planet
Right.
Earth. All right.
Plane.
Plane. But in actuality, wouldn't it have to be like if let's say the ball was a lie, you would have to have the truth being like so mocked, so ridiculed that nobody would even want to look at it. That's perfect for flat Earth right now. Flat Earth is exactly that. It's
Flat
a
Earth.
long, distant, weird cousin that you don't even want to know.
Flat
But it
Earth.
might even be the truth if you actually look into
Yo,
it.
you
The
guys
Earth
should
is
ask
flat.
for biology.
The Earth is flat.
So
Hello.
what we're saying is
Great to
that
see you.
there's flaws in the scientific, basically how we're going about to prove the reality that there's flaws in it. So a lot of people are doing is appeal to authority, So we all say like, oh, a scientist figured it out, so it must be true. But nobody goes and actually fact checks. when you actually look into it, the origins for all these facts are coming from one organization that is paid for by the United States government, that was started by Walt Disney, which is a television animation studio, all right, and a Nazi scientist. Does that sound like science to you?
What do you think
It
is like
sounds
the
bad.
most
It sounds really
I
bad.
think it's like class, though. I'm
evidence
about
you've
to
seen
keep
that
on.
really like
I'm sorry.
pushed you over?
Say that one more time.
What do you think is like the most compelling
Evidence?
No,
Uh,
I still think the Chicago skyline from
seen
the other
too far.
side of Lake Michigan, when 1,700 feet of curvature, that's as tall as the Willis Tower. That's the tallest building in Chicago. So we shouldn't be able. And they've got pictures of the skyline across the Lake Michigan in Chicago. So
Plus-
even just that evidence of that long distance,
Plus,
that's not
I've
curving.
personally seen observations where I've seen, the Sears Tower also from, different places from Indiana and Wisconsin, where, the entire city in its full, which you shouldn't be able to see. So there's problems, the curvature is not showing up. We're not seeing it. I've never seen it in my life. You know what I'm saying? I've always assumed, and the whole ships disappearing on the curve thing, easily debunked. You can take any camera with a zoom and see that curve go over the edge, and then zoom in on the boat again
And bring it back into
and
focus.
bring it right back into focus. Same thing with
It gets
sunsets.
hazy. It gets
they say,
hazy
oh,
because of the conditions of the air.
they
as
say
further out it
the
goes,
sun
that's
goes over the horizon. They do
And
the
it
same
gets
thing. They put a
smaller.
camera, they zoom in the sun goes back above the horizon. What's going on? What's going on?
Yeah, what is that?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what's going on?
So
Hello.
Oh, sick.
yeah. So I strongly suggest you guys look into it. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but not only is there evidence to support it, there's no evidence to support the ball. Once you start, carrying it apart, even the heliocentric math that they give us, for celestial objects in the sky, doesn't even add up. Like you see Venus and Mercury tracking across the right sky, that's physically impossible under the heliocentric model. But we disregard that. Or like when you see a stellium eclipse in the sky with the sun and the moon both in the sky, also physically impossible. Yet we disregard that because the scientists, they know, right? We live on the ball. And then you got NASA showing us pictures, but it's all like stage pictures. Like we're at the fourth wall. They're always like they show a little bit of the ISS and then the Earth, and that's all you see. They never turn around and pan and show you space. There's no galaxies. There's no nebulas. There's no nothing. It's like,
Have you seen photos of Hubble?
yeah. But no, so here's the interesting thing about Hubble is there's an identical Hubble that actually flies in a high altitude plane. Exactly identical specs and everything. And they even said it's like Hubble 2 or whatever they call it.
Yeah, it's the James Webb Space Telescope.
Exactly. It is Hubble. That is Hubble.
But that's actually the second one. That's when they're replacing it with.
That's what they say, but that's what it always has been. It's always
Okay.
been. Yeah.
So you just fully don't believe in a curvature of space time as well, or is it just
So the problem with theoretical math,
You gotta get
all right,
the
you guys
class,
take it
you
easy.
got it.
I don't got anywhere to be. I'm just
No, it's
interested.
okay.
I'm
For sure.
I'm not trying to ridicule you guys or anything. I've taken a couple space classes here.
Good.
And so I'm just interested to see how that interacts with
Is there any?
Yeah,
is there
for
things
sure.
that you could do for yourself to prove the things that they're telling you in that class?
So this guy, some Roman dude, way back when, before anything had developed civilization wise, what he did was he trekked from one area all the way to another. And
Are they
checked to
still
see
saying
the
that he's
shadow
using
from
sticks
the
and
sun.
Yeah.
shadows,
On the
or is he
ground,
using a well?
Yeah.
No,
Are they telling
fully
you about
just,
the well or
sticks
sticks and shadows?
So way back when,
Yeah.
And through those observations, he was able to decide what the radius of the Earth was, and he was really, really close to
Neil
it.
Actually,
deGrasse Tyson did a video on that. He said it would be exactly the same if it was a close local sun
Local sun.
and a smaller sun,
still
or
check
if it
out.
would be the long distance away would
Oh,
make
yeah?
would make the same observations on a flat Earth.
So you guys agree with Neil deGrasse Tyson on a lot of stuff, or just that?
No, not necessarily. Neil deGrasse Tyson is an actor, and he's actually just paid to give information to the public by the government. So you can look this up for yourself.
Yeah.
He's on IMDb. What
Well,
kind of
he
science?
has a TV show.
How many scientists are on IMDb?
He has an educational show.
I understand.
Yeah,
How many
yeah.
scientists are on IMDb?
Probably Bill Nye.
He's not a scientist.
Oh yeah.
No, he's barely a college graduate. So, but anyway, the point we're getting with all this is that the problem with academia and science, it's infiltrated. We know that anybody's corruptible. We know that politicians could be bought and
for
paid
sure.
for. We know that all these things could be bought and paid for. Why not science? Why not
Right.
science?
Yeah.
You know
Especially.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially, you heard about the Royal Society? Are you familiar with that story?
No.
So basically, where the whole scientific academia started was the Royal Society. So it was a bunch of rich dukes and stuff like that. They got together and they said, you know what? You know, we're scientists, we're discovering Earth. We want to be the authority of that science. So we're going to take all our money and all our funding and come together and come up with our own base of science, and we'll release that to the general population for money. You know, like for not for furthering the education of mankind, to make money, to basically make
flat Earth.
So they did.
Have you ever questioned the shape of the Earth?
Like, falsified information.
So talking about like why they lied about the Earth being a ball.
So you're saying it's like a monetary incentive?
Not necessarily.
They make the money though.
They make the money is just that's just energy. You know, so you have energy and you have a system. So the system is compiled in a specific way to keep your mind completely entrenched, completely focused. So like when they teach you these sciences are designed to maintain you inside that system. You're inside that framework. You can't think outside that framework because it's all you know. You know, but real science, anybody knows this, real science, you have to allow more information. You can't just close off your limits of information where you take information from. You got to take it from everywhere and assess for yourself. You want to be the authority.
Right. I mean,
so that's what we're saying.
Authority, but I don't have a background in astrophysics, so I'm not really sure how my interpretations can weigh up.
And that's fine. And that's a process. That's a process. Like learning is a process. So like you're not going to understand astrophysics today. You know, like you're gonna start taking in information and you're gonna make judgments depending on how it leads. So if the information goes so far, even if there's guys who have A's or whatever, if it's not adding up, if you're not building that road and getting there to where they got there, it's not adding up, there's a problem.
Can I ask you something else?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you believe in gravity?
Gravity is just a theory, and actually it's a complete con because you're dealing with density and buoyancy, and that's actually easily proven. Like for instance, like you have a helium balloon, it rises. Why does it rise? Because the air in the balloon, the helium itself, is lighter than the air. It's less dense than the air itself. The molecules are there, so it's going to go up. You know, if it's heavier than the air, it's going to go down. So wherein do you need gravity? I mean, you need gravity to stick to an outside
of a spinning ball.
Which doesn't make sense because any ball that's spinning, centrifugal force is going to send you right off.
Something that calls down, and up. It just, we're not exactly.
So like how does flat Earth explain that? Like what would flat Earth say about like gravity?
Density and buoyancy. And there might be other forces. There's a thing called the force of the ether. Like the ether is actually in rotation. It's moving through the Earth.
The sun, moon, and stars are circle above us, just like we see.
Yep.
Okay. You're not selling me on it?
Right. Yeah, we're not trying to sell anything. So
like, why are you guys
look into it. Do your own research.
You have to look into it.
That's like what you're trying to
get research.
People to do?
Yeah, I mean, we did it.
Give them some places to start.
4 years to come out and
YouTube
be open
websites,
about it,
YouTube sites, websites, and then this is who we are.
All right.
On the flyer there. So, and then there's 10 proofs in here.
Yeah. Do you have one?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
Yeah, you should talk to David Meyer. He's an astronomy professor here.
Right on.
He's really like not the type that would like ridicule you at all.
I've actually talked to some astronomers over at the planetarium and stuff like that too. So
yeah, we've got an observatory like just down that way.
Yeah.
If you want to check that out, because we got like professionals in there that know how to work it too.
Yeah.
I don't know, but David Meyer is a really cool guy. I think you should talk to him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck with that.
Thanks.
All right. You too.
Have a great day. Hello. Have you ever questioned the shape of the Earth?
What?
The Earth is flat.
Check it out.
We live on a flat, motionless, stationary plane.
Yeah.
Hello. All right, this building's pretty cool, huh?
Wow. You guys want to look into flat Earth? Check it out. You guys want to look into flat Earth?
Yeah, I know. I just don't know. There's no wire. I don't remember.
Have you ever questioned the shape of the Earth? The Earth is flat. Hello? Have you ever questioned the shape of the Earth? The Earth is flat.
I'm actually working right now.
Okay.
What's the physics department? See how they were set.
Actually,
I'm curious.
Yeah, I've dealt with this too.
No, here. I'm just curious. Oh, yeah. What my profession think.
What would they have to say about bubbles in space?
Yeah, I mean, I know what their story would be.
No, but I
Hello?
want to know what they
Have you ever questioned the shape of the Earth? The Earth is flat.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Flat Earth?
I'm not worried about it.
Curiosity, you would want to know.
Tell me how it goes.
Hi.
Hi.
What is this?
It's flat Earth.
Okay, is the Earth flat?
Absolutely.
Right. Is this the only thing?
Well, there's 10 proofs in there, some YouTube
Okay.
places and some websites on YouTube.
What's your favorite proof?
My favorite proof is that we can see too far. If they say the curvature is 8 inches per mile squared, if from the other side of Lake Michigan, there should be 1,700 feet of curvature. But we can take images of the Chicago skyline
Yes.
from across Lake Michigan at 60 miles, and it should be covered by the top of the Sears Tower should be covered. So if we can see too far,
Wait, say that again. So
We can see
so there's 8 inches per
Mile
squared.
squared. Right.
Okay. So then
60
across
miles.
how big is Lake Michigan?
Well, it's 60 miles away from the other side.
6 miles from the other side.
They were
okay.
able to see the
It's in the
Chicago skyline.
pamphlet,
It's in the
Is it a pamphlet? Oh, okay. I see. Which one is it?
5 miles away.
It's 60 miles away across Lake Michigan. Formula.
Yeah, I mean, you could check
Yeah,
it
but
yourself.
it's
That's
been
his photo.
repeated. So,
Yeah.
Well, okay, I know
Other
you can
people have done
definitely
it.
see Chicago skyline from far away.
but with
Oh.
the curvature that the science
It gets
tells
worse,
us,
man. It
Yeah.
gets worse. That's
Oh, it's
that's
worse.
nothing. It gets
Oh,
worse
it's
than
nothing.
that. The latest breakthrough was
Infrared
James
technology.
Tolan infrared technology. You can see up to 1,000 miles.
Oh wow,
That's
horrifying.
impossible.
Jesus.
That's
So
impossible.
you're telling me
the Earth
It's
is flat.
impossible.
Is the Earth
It's
flat?
flat.
Okay.
There's
so
no curve.
There's no curve. So what happens if I walk off the Earth?
So,
That's-
so
you guys
the
probably
physics
asked
of
that
water,
already.
let's just say the physics of water is water always fills its container and finds its level.
Yes.
So on the flat plane, it goes out it hits the Antarctic coastline. And that's the shoreline for
Well,
the,
no. What?
for, so
the
that
physics is that always every system there's a least energy configuration in the
Okay.
system that materials in a system conform to. So like that's why if you have like a bowl and you drop a ball into it, it's not like it spreads out to be even. It finds the lowest energy.
Okay.
So
for the water, would we be doing the same thing?
Yep.
well, not necessarily. You have to see where's the lowest energy. If the Earth were flat, right?
But relatively speaking, like if I were to take a bucket of water and dump it on the ground,
Yes.
it's not at any point going to confirm to the edge of anything on the outside in large masses. It's going to eventually level out, just like water actually does.
Well, if it levels out,
like
if
a
there
puddle,
is
like that, there's no curvature there, right? Like it's
well,
flat.
yeah, there is. There's a little bit of a dip right there.
There's no the water, the surface
Have
of
you
the
ever
water.
tried pouring water on top of a ball?
Yeah, it just flies right out.
It falls off the ball. Yeah.
Yeah, why is it sticking to the outside of a spinning ball?
Well, because it's not like the Earth is not like if it's
Right.
that's
I mean,
what
this
you're-
is all
like
the
a
stuff that
solid
we
ball.
believe.
Yes, I
that.
believe all that.
We were taught
Oh,
all of
okay.
that.
But now you see the light.
We understand.
It's been
we
about 2
understood
years
the
since
lie.
I've been
We understood the
looking
lie.
into this. So.
2 years. Okay, and how has your life changed since you realized the deep truth?
Astronomically.
You can't put it into words.
Okay, well, tell me. So, what would be better in my life then, if I believe the Earth was flat?
Well, here's the problem: is you're going about it the wrong way. Do you care whether the Earth is flat or not?
I mean, some things in science we know about because the Earth is flat.
No, I'm saying, do you personally, as a person, do you care whether the Earth is a ball or completely flat?
Well, personally, I don't really care about the universe millions of miles away, but
No,
some
no, no.
scientific
I'm just
hang on,
saying, like,
well, some scientific discoveries
Yeah.
that relate our lives to what happens millions of miles
Do
away
you,
can
do you
have
care
direct
that they
impact.
lied to you? Since, like, let's say the Earth is
Okay.
not a ball.
Okay.
All right. Let's say it's flat. We
So,
know it's flat.
conclusion.
We don't know, but let's say it's flat. Okay.
Mhm.
So the Earth is flat.
Mhm.
They're telling you it's a ball. They've been telling you since you were a kid. They tell your dad, your parents, your uncle, your grandma, everybody. Y'all living your life thinking you're living on a spinning ball. You're
Mhm.
following their lies. You're paying them $52 million a day to just basically run rampant and do whatever the heck.
It's up to
Let's say there's more
57.
land too. You could be a baron of your own country, your own land, whatever. But no. They want you here
Okay.
like a farm, like animals, in this little containment area.
Okay.
And they lied to you since birth. Does that upset you? Do you care about that?
Well,
Would that even
I would need
even
to
make an
first
impact
accept
in
your
life?
conclusion that the
Right.
Earth is
Let's
flat.
say you accepted it.
Well,
would
if I
that
accepted
be
it,
an
then
impactful situation?
well, first you would need to show
Well,
me
you
not
asked
only
if-
that
This is
where's your,
introspective at this point.
Can I hit you
but-
guys up at your mansions and your vast deserts of land area? Have you
We're
able-
working on it.
You're
We
working
got
on
to
it.
take this government down first, and then we'll
Consider
get
government down first. Okay, so you're saying that. Okay, so what other? I'm not gonna go into the rabbit hole, but the government's basically spending billions of dollars to tell everybody the Earth is flat, so they can have.
farmers pay billions of dollars to make sure their farm animals are kept in check. Yes, that's what they do.
Well, there's an analogy there that you're drawing that from necessarily directly.
I'm just
into
giving
Earth
you an
being
example of how it could
flat. Well,
work.
yeah.
Yeah.
Animals can't really.
So
pay for
let's say you
themselves
were
same
the
way
animal.
we can.
They're going to spend the right money to make sure that you know what's up.
And so what are they doing with all this free land that we don't get to see?
Well, that's up to them. They have the money and the resources to do whatever they want. So that's I'm being joking about it, but the Earth, I'm not joking about the Earth being flat. The Earth is freaking flat. Easy to prove. It took me years to accept it because of the indoctrination. I was a scientific nerd, genius guru, whatever you want to call it, myself. But you know what? I got tired of tricking myself and saying, no, but this, no, but that. And when I actually myself, I realized I was lying to myself. Everything that I was coming up with was an appeal to myself. What if it was any of my own, perspective, any of that? But once I actually start looking at the evidence from my own perspective, I realized, like, dude, this could be the biggest lie in mankind right now. And then it just took me one step further to confirm it by doing actual scientific evidence first, like going out there and doing experiments, checking. Do you know the light of the moon is actually cold? Do you guys know that?
It's cool.
Sounds preposterous and insane, but you can test this yourself. Anybody can. I can make this accusation all day. You could prove me right. All you have to do is get a thermometer, any thermometer. You can use a laser thermometer. You can use an actual regular mouth thermometer, whatever you want to use. Pick your thermometer. Go outside during the moonlight. Take something and shade sunlight. I mean, not sunlight. Moonlight, shade. Moon shade.
Oh, so
Put the thermometer in moon shade. Go anywhere in the middle of a field. Take a book.
Colder.
Shield
yes, it
the
does.
area.
It's a colder light. It's
You'll
not
see that the
reflective
light
sunlight.
itself is colder than the
It's not
shade.
reflective sunlight.
No, because else it would be.
No.
If it was reflective sunlight, it would be warmer in the moon, but it's
Yeah.
actually colder in the
It's
moon.
colder.
In the
Opposite.
moonlight.
It's not even neutral. It's
It's
colder.
opposite. It's opposite light.
Opposing.
Well, they can. They have cold lasers that they have lasers that
This is
actually
not
make things
impossible
colder.
stuff.
It's
This
not
is
impossible.
The moon has
How it was made.
the moon is sending off cold light.
The moon is
So-
a luminary.
So
So
if
it's not-
the moon,
it's not
is the
a-
moon getting hotter all the time.
We don't know it's cold. The moon. We don't know. We don't know what
But
the
it's
moon
letting go
is.
of
We
its
can't
cold light.
touch the
So
moon.
it's like emitting its own light, but we don't know what.
Right. From
why it's doing
our
that.
like from a personal scientific perspective, you could be a scientist yourself. You could do your actual own research and figure this out for yourself. If you're doing the experiments, this is the conclusions you're going to come to. You're going to be like, okay, well, the moonlight's colder. Why? You go to authority and you ask them their reasoning and their logic behind it, and they tell you, oh, it's the sky itself and blah, blah, blah. But people have actually taken moonbeams and shot them through their kitchen, and one into a glass and the other in the shadow away from the glass. And they've taken both temperatures in the room at the same time, multiple times, and it's always colder. Moonlight's always colder.
They took
You
moonbeams
it's
through their-
it's demonstrable
Hi.
proof. Like it shouldn't happen. Science is telling you it doesn't make sense.
all the moonbeams I've shown through my kitchen are just searingly warm. I don't know what you're talking about. Every moonbeam that I've ever had in my hand.
Check
All
your
right.
thermometer. Maybe
What-
you
like
feel
in the middle
warm.
of
You
the
maybe
What's
cold as warm. I
the-
don't know.
What's like the reason? I never understood. What's the reason for the cover up?
Well, see,
Like,
that's
I
the
can
thing.
get on your side and say like,
I
oh,
told
like there's
him-
a cover up, but
I told him earlier, but like I said, this is not the flat Earth truth. This is just my personal opinion. Because
Gotcha.
I've done the research.
Okay.
I've been looking into it. The Earth is obviously flat. So like I'm doing rational stuff like you. I'm like, why did they lie? Why did they do this?
right.
The conclusions I've come to is just like a farm, cattle, any animal. You took any industry, whether it's beef, chicken, whatever. The farmers spend billions upon billions of dollars to condition and train these animals and make sure the environments and everything, the drugs, the hormones, it's just perfect so that everything works for them. Don't you think that if there was a system in control of this, they would do the same for us? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying could be. It could be a farm, and we're a resource farm. We do the digging, the scientific discoveries, we do all that, and they just keep us in check. That's my opinion. That's just my opinion. But that's because
I just don't understand like the motivation, I guess.
Yeah,
for
I mean,
doing that. Like I can get the idea, be like, there's
we
the
don't know
reason they're
what they
covering up
are.
those conspiracies because of this.
Yeah.
And like, there was a big enough like reason for doing that. I could be like, okay, that makes sense.
right.
But like,
We
But-
could
but-
go. We
but-
could
what
go
but
for.
it's like
We could
a-
go for
what power
money.
does that higher body have?
We could go for
that
money.
would have?
But
They got
ultimately-
$52 million, $19 billion a year. So that's $52 million a day of our taxpayer money.
Yeah.
Right.
What NASA is for giving us CGI pictures and
Interesting.
and fake space. So yeah.
So and just,
Which is crazy. But like, so why are they doing that anyway?
and just going outside of that, here, I just want to point this out. Like, let's say you walk into a crime scene. You're a police investigator, right? You know, you have a dead body there. You know, are you going to be like, what's the motive? Why did they do it? Or are you going to see first what the crime is, understand the crime to its full potential before you come to that conclusion? So what we're saying is that you guys are early in the game. You haven't done the investigating yet.
Right.
So you have a lot of questions. I can fill in those blanks, but it's not going to do you any good. It's not going to help you realize more. It's not going to attune you to the right frequency of understanding of what's going on. None of that. You got to come to those conclusions on your own after you've done the investigation. You have to do the investigation first. You have to prove that the Earth is bald first. That's one thing. Don't prove the Earth is flat, because you're going to come to that conclusion regardless. Prove what they're telling you is true. Go look at their model. Look at what. That's the best way to debunk the globe. Look at the heliocentric model. The math itself is contradictive in nature. So once you start running into these contradictions, where before where you had the globe mentality, you said it's okay because scientists figured it out. Now you're like doubting whether they figured it out or not. You're looking like, okay, there's another contradiction. Okay, there's another contradiction. Then you realize it's riddled with contradictions.
Yep.
Sure.
What are some of the things that you guys did to prove or to try to prove that the Earth was round?
Long-based observations. Long distance photography.
Okay, is that like when you like look far enough? And you
No,
can
I have a
see
P900 camera. It's 83 times
Right.
zoom, so you can zoom in. Like if I'm aiming it at the
and
moon,
supposedly the Earth would have curved enough
would
for
have
you to
curved.
be able
Yeah,
to see it.
with that distance of
The skyline thing here.
Chicago sky, 1,700 feet across Lake Michigan, 60 miles. That is taller than the Willis Tower. That's how much the science's Earth calculator curvature says should be covered, is the entire building.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be able to take a picture even one time across Lake Michigan, but they've been doing it multiple times.
I've been
So-
fortunate enough to be a flat earther during 3 or 4 eclipses. So that's another big proof. That's a big nail in the coffin for the heliocentric model, in my opinion, is that eclipses don't function the way you would expect the heliocentric model eclipse to function. I don't know if you guys know this, but most totality, the time that it takes for these observations to line up in totality takes too long. Like some of these eclipses last way too long. Like the sun and the moon and the Earth should have been way out of sync by the time they should have been, but they don't. But that's one thing. Another thing is a selenelium. If you look at a selenelium, it's an opposing eclipse. So it's like you're looking off and you're seeing the moon, and you're looking off and you're seeing the sun, and you see the moon, and the Earth's shadow is on the moon. But not only is
What
the
they
sun
what
the
they
Earth,
call the Earth's shadow.
on like above the horizon, but now you have another problem because
It's coming from the
shadow
top.
is on the top down instead of the bottom up. So now you have a whole another can of worms. So 2 contradictions in one eclipse just doesn't even make sense in the heliocentric model. And then you have observations like Venus and Mercury in your night sky. When it crosses the night sky, it shouldn't cross the night sky.
Up till like 11 o'clock at night.
It should.
So these are inner in the solar system model. They're
Right.
inner circles
Okay.
There's circles on the inside.
on the
track towards
inside
the sun,
track towards the sun. We should not see those planets
on
at,
the outside track.
before
away from the
sunrise
sun.
and after sunset.
And it gets even worse. Like for instance, like the stars. Like you see this, you look up and you see stars, and you're like, yeah, space, right? Space. But if you go up, the higher up you go, the stars disappear. They just fade out. All right, they fade out after I think it's like what 40,000 feet or 400,000 feet. Or so. I don't know what it is, but they fade out, and they shouldn't fade out. If they're out there, you're getting less atmosphere, less obstruction. There should be space, but you don't see that. So what are we looking at? We don't know. Is it space? I can't tell you that. But what it could be is an optical phenomenon that we don't understand. Something else could be going on. It doesn't to me say that that's space. And then you got NASA that shows you footage while they're doing these spacewalks, and you got bubbles coming out of the helmet. And then you got tethers and harnesses while they're on the ISS bouncing around, and they're wearing hairspray. Like the women,
just more part of their production.
The hair's not flowing; it's just like hairsprayed up. Like it looks like once you like realize the Earth is flat and you go back and look at this, like there's a thing. It's like NASA laugh reels and stuff like that.
NASA mistakes.
NASA
When they
mistakes.
messed up.
And it's just like you just watch hours and hours of just blunders that NASA does. It's like what you would see when you watch like people who make movies who do blunders and they're like, oops, this guy he had the light too low, or you could see this guy in the corner, the microphone's here. That's NASA, all over the place.
Do you have like any idea why they'd be doing that though?
I know.
Like you said, like it's a lot of taxpayer dollars, like per day.
Let me give you a little bit of incentive why the motive could exist. The person who started NASA, like the origins of NASA themselves, are fishy in itself. Versus you have Walt Disney and Werner von Braun, who is a Nazi rocket scientist. They get together, they create 3 or 4, 5 films. I don't know. They make a couple space films, and then all of a sudden they start an aeronautics division, and then NASA is created. Like Walt Disney started NASA. What the heck are we doing? Like, why do we think that that's scientific? Why are we accepting this as being the proper ways to get to scientific discovery? Why do you have a special effects television cartoon animator in charge of space science?
Right.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
It's insane.
So, and then if they can make us believe that we're an insignificant speck of a planet in this huge, vast universe, and we're nothingness, and a whole lot of nothingness, and then some more
upon billions and billions,
more nothingness, and then billions and trillions of miles of nothing, and then but we're just an insignificant speck in that, and then there could be other planets with other insignificant specks on it, and
it can all end because an asteroid could just blow this up,
and we could, but the Earth is flat. It was created that way.
Yep.
Sun, moon, and stars, a circle above us, just like we see.
Yeah, what does that model look like? Because I've seen.
So it'd be something like this,
like
with
this.
the North Pole here in the center.
Okay.
But this is an idea of what it might look.
It's a concept.
And then Antarctica's not a continent; it's just an icy landmass that goes around the outside, holds all the water in, like on the shoreline, and we're just islands in the middle. And it's the same as the United Nations flag, or the flag, right? The flag of the world.
Yeah.
The United Nations. They have it right there, right in front of our faces.
All the world organizations use that same.
Did that on purpose?
Yes. Oh yes.
Well, I think like a liar is really good at putting truth and lie together really well. So I think it's like the art form of lying itself. It just proves that there's thought, foresight,
almost.
Yeah.
So I guess to get like a really good, like to know like whether that's true or not is like someone who really believes in a flat Earth would have to go into space.
Well,
like what's the goal? Like
we have balloons that have gone up
Balloons.
120,000 miles.
And I think that was like the
it's like a
brochure, right?
Brochure, yeah.
It's like
So at that height,
Not us, not
NASA
me
shows the
specifically,
curve.
but the guys that do that kind of stuff.
But when you use a non-fisheye lens, because you know how GoPro has a fisheye lens, this camera has a little bit of fisheye lens, but what it'll do is it'll curve, it'll convex or concave the atmosphere, the horizon, depending on which way it's facing. And that's how they trick you with the curve a lot, is like they sell us photos with, these GoPros and stuff like that, and other camera lenses that could use higher, more sophisticated cameras. But the point is that, along coupled with CGI and just regular television, trickery, it's easy. It's easy. So, I mean...
So, why exactly do you think that they're doing this?
Well...
That they're making us think?
That's like my biggest thing.
It's a big suggestion that this is... And a lot of us don't want to go. There's so many flat earthers that don't want to go like spiritual, biblical, or any of that. But it definitely lends credence to a creator. This is set up somehow for something way bigger than us, and
much bigger.
And this is obviously a scientific thing. It's like obviously created. There's barriers in place. There's lights. There's a lot of weird stuff. Now that's just taking it to the extreme. Stick with the science. Come to your own conclusion, because ultimately that's a personal. If you lived in a ball in space, you'd still be asking yourself the same questions. So
true.
Come to those questions later. Understand the nature of reality first.
You don't have to raise your hand.
Okay.
Go ahead. For anything. No, you're good.
He talks a lot.
Nah, you're good. But I was just wondering. I mean, your whole thing is about flat Earth, but I was wondering, like, Mercury and Jupiter and stuff like that, those seem like spherical objects.
They do,
well.
right? But the only problem is the only confirmation of them as actual spheres is illustrated images from NASA.
I can look through like a telescope.
Yes, you can see a round.
You see this? This is
disc
crazy.
of light
So this
or
is what
color
the world
flashing
actually
and
looks like,
illuminating
and it's the
in a
UN
certain
sign.
way. You can
They're
see
hiding
that
it right
with
in
any
front of us.
astronomical equipment.
I also see
you can see
triangles
luminaries
like
in the
the
sky.
other.
Now, like I would
You're
even
letting yourself
speculate like they were balls and say a pool table is flat and the ball is round. Does the pool table have to be round for the balls to be round? No. So the Earth could be flat still, and there could still be round objects in the sky, but they're obviously not as far away as they're telling us they are. They're way closer. We know that because I could take binoculars, and you know what binoculars are. You know, using two lenses, your eyes have to zero in on it. You know what I'm saying? So if I can observe them clearly with binoculars, they are way closer than they're telling us they are. Otherwise, they would never align. My binoculars would never have the power to, you know, meet up at the point of where those stars are.
Unless
No
they were
way.
just very large.
That's what I'm saying. Even if they were,
very large, the binoculars could pick them up. The larger it is, the farther away you can see them.
no, you would still have a parallaxing effect because each lens would have to account for thousands and thousands and trillions of miles.
Yeah, but the larger
So,
it is.
so the larger it is, the more farther away it is, the larger the error is going to be. So the less chances of that mashing out and working perfectly, so you're going to see it. Like my binoculars might not be the right tune, right? There is a double.
Even the more area.
there is a
it's like,
telescope
let's say there
from
was
the Vatican called Lucifer that is a stereo telescope. It's the only stereo telescope that's like that big, I guess, that exists. But there might be another one that was built since then. But my point is that when you actually do these observations, regardless of what you're seeing, you know, they obviously could be whatever.
Flat
you know,
Earth?
like that's but it doesn't prove the nature of reality of what you're standing on. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to prove what you're standing on, looking up doesn't really confirm anything. It just means that what's up is something else. What's down could be something else. You don't know.
That's not how they prove that the Earth is round by looking up. I mean, their claim.
Right, I know.
Their claim is
Yeah, I said that, yeah.
viewing the Earth from space,
Yeah.
you see it as round.
That's
Yeah, I mean, you know, assuming that's true or false, they don't say.
it
They don't
can't be
say.
confirmed independently. So that's
It's confirmed by Russian space intelligence.
Do you think that's independent? You
From
heard of
the
the
USA.
world? What about these guys?
United Nations. But I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
that
all the
goes
same
back-
company, right?
But that goes
We're all
back-
working together.
What do you mean, Russia and US are working together?
Always.
You heard of the Antarctic Treaty?
Yeah. We're
Okay,
not having
so
actually, but-
so the Antarctic Treaty, we've been working with all these organizations since the start. Like, there are like 57 nations involved. The treaty's never been broken. It's ridiculous. Like we've been at wars with some of these people, and then in Antarctica, we are shaking hands and sharing supplies and having kumbaya. Like it is insane. It doesn't make sense.
we share resources with them in space too.
When there's actually
Sure.
war involved, treaties are broken. Treaties are almost always. There's never been any treaty that's lasted that long ever in the history of mankind.
Well, it's like in the pursuit of science, like
Pursuit of science.
The Chicago government works with the mafia.
It's fine. If that's proof enough for you that you live on the ball, that's totally cool.
I'm
But
not
we're just saying that type of speculation is thinking within the box. You're thinking, okay, they're giving me this answer, so it must be true. But we're saying,
That's not what I
like,
said.
confirm your own truth.
So going
Go out
to
there and do your own
the
research.
Antarctica Treaty, like what is the reasoning behind like, you know, having that treaty on Antarctica? Like what is
Well, in this model in particular, not to say that I 100% say this is it. In this model, that's the outside edge. So, like I said, I was telling
Well, that's
this other
that's
gentleman,
the edge of the ocean, that
Right.
container of the ocean.
not the edge of the Earth, but like the edge of where we are. And at the 60-degree parallel, as a matter of fact, is the limitations of where we can travel. So
You can't even bring fresh water, like
it's like
large,
a farm.
large
That's
amounts
the
of fresh
fence.
water.
You know what I'm saying?
Past
And
that.
it could be much like a real farm where like the fence posts are there, but there's nobody in between. So it could be they're so spaced out that you could probably, but you know, people are too scared. Too much going on.
I think like the other side.
Flat Earth?
So that's
Okay.
what we were saying earlier to another gentleman is that you're taking the heliocentric model and the flat Earth and you're mixing them together. So you're saying flat disk in space, but that's ball in space. That's heliocentric model. Flat Earth model is plane of reality, existence. So you know you have flat realm. It could be infinite. It could be vast. It could be limitations. We don't know. But we don't believe in space. We think space is a construct that was there to sell you the
Can you,
lie. As a matter of fact,
reverse
space doesn't even make
Antarctica
sense. You know,
in order to like I guess prove the fact that like
Captain
that's our
Cook.
space.
I think the one that we heard most about was Captain Cook.
yeah, he's one of the main guys.
Said
that
he went
actually sailed
60,000
around.
miles.
Yeah, and he went. Yeah, it was like double the circumference of the Earth. It's about 67,000 miles, something like that. But that's what he clocked, and we're not using that as a proof. We're just saying that there are things that do support the circumference and the shape and all that stuff. You just have to look into it. You know, there's a lot of evidence out there. And what the main point is the evidence that they're presenting us that we live on a ball is faulty. Like you can look at this yourself. You see NASA's lying, using green screens, harnesses. There's bubbles during spacewalks. You got all sorts of problems with that. You got high altitude photography that shows a flat plane. You got no curvature being found, long distance, as far as the eye can see, showing a flat plane. There's no point in time to see any balls. You're going to see any curvature without seeing what they're telling you. So it should be confirmable for us. And it should not be impossible for people to find out where they live. And something to look into is, do you live on a ball or on a flat plane? You'll see, why is it so difficult to find this out?
Maybe I'm missing the point, but could you like hypothetically have a trek where you start from the shores of Antarctica and then just go all the way to the edge of space?
What's space?
Well, you're saying
space?
We don't believe in space. So
Oh.
that's the thing. The space construct is the heliocentric story that's saying like you have to have space for heliocentric because you live on a ball, just on top and the bottom.
Right.
So you need like something outside of that. You know? So that doesn't exist. Heliocentrism is a lie, easy to prove.
So it's two-dimensional?
It's a plane. So you still live in 3D, but everything works in perspective. You got, you know, your plane coming in from above to below, you know, leading up to your horizon. Same thing with your ground. Same thing with your left and your right. You know, you still have the same spatial awareness that you had before. It's just that there is no infinite vacuum of void.
What's above the atmosphere?
We know there's a limitation. So that's one thing that has been discovered recently is that they have actually shot rockets and stuff like that. And they seem to be abruptly hitting or making a sound as if they're reaching
Like
some sort of
breaking the sound barrier.
limitation. No.
Like that type of sound?
When they completely stop, I don't think that would be breaking the sound barrier, but these objects, they go straight up and they just completely stop and they just fall. They reach a limitation, something happens, you hear a click in the audio, and then the camera's fall.
Like a ceiling.
Something,
So
I don't know.
The Simpsons movie when they have like a dome above
Dome
us?
above, you know,
Putting it
might
right
as
in
well.
right in front of our faces.
It could be. It could be truth in plain sight. We don't know. But, you know, it also could be like
Could
a
you
limit.
travel
This could be
across
like another
Antarctica
plane of
and, like, get to
reality,
the
and
other
this is a
side?
plane of reality, and that's just the
You
limitation.
No, you can't. There's nobody who's ever. There's no north-south navigation flight that has ever
Nobody's flown
happened.
around the globe.
Nobody's
like
flown
that.
around the
So
globe. this
flying
way.
from South America to Australia, where do you go?
Just straight shot.
Above
Whoa.
the center. Wait, so you go like this?
Yeah, that's how they do it.
And if you look out the window in the plane, you won't see ocean.
Well, when they fly, when they go this way, they even tell you they'll go like towards
You go to the
Alaska. You'll go
straight
towards.
No, it'd be across here, across that water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll fly
Yeah,
by
they do that. Yeah.
here, and then they always
What,
try
they
to
fly
keep
that
towards
anyway.
the
There was
Earth,
a
you know,
flight from
the land.
Japan to San Francisco or whatever, and it stopped in Anchorage, because they had emergency land because a woman was having a baby.
Yeah.
So no one's ever gone from like tip of South America
out
out
and then come back.
Oh, I got a question. Why is it cold at the North Pole?
Okay, so if the sun is circling around us
Here,
like this,
it's like a
it
donut.
still has the equator,
Oh,
the Tropic of Cancer, and the Tropic of Capricorn. So this is where it stays,
And that's where you get your seasons too. 'Cause
and
the
that's
sun
why
on
this
a
is
tight
all
path,
frozen, and that's why
and then during our
frozen.
summer and then during our winter, it's on a way looser path. It's traveling a lot faster.
interesting. Wait. So if
And
there's,
the moon-
where's the sun then? If there's no space?
It's about, we don't know, but you can approximate this yourself with theodolites and stuff, and people say it's about
What are Adelaide?
3,000 miles.
Theodolite?
Theodolite. What's a theodolite?
It's like a sighting tool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you
So
believe in Australia?
Australia is still there.
It exists.
I think it exists.
Yeah, don't worry, guys. Australia's okay.
Guy goes
Okay.
in a plane and like makes three right angle 90-degree turns, and he ends up at the same spot. And like he says that proves that the Earth is round. Have you seen that video?
Which video?
It's like on YouTube about like this guy. Like someone challenged him to.
He didn't actually do that. He
Yeah.
didn't actually take that flight. He used the tangents of a sphere at 90-degree angles to the other tangent. It's not even a 90-degree angle because it's a spherical tangent, and then it would make a 3 points connecting to each
So
other.
you won't be satisfied until he actually like does the actual thing itself.
Well, we won't be satisfied until we actually see the curve. That's the big thing. It's like you live on a ball, right? Like you should see a ball. You should be able to see that there's a ball underneath you, that you live on a ball. That should be visible.
What does that
Easy
mean?
to
Wait,
demonstrate.
what do you mean? You see the ball?
Like if I fly, like for instance, like they tell us that you can't see the curvature at, was it 47,000 feet. They say that you can't see that. All right. But we're setting things up to 120,000 feet, way higher. and
You
it's
can
still
see it there.
No.
flat.
Could you
So
not?
if Elon Musk took you up in the space shuttle and you saw that that he's about to
Okay,
come out with, and you
Elon
saw
Musk-
let me finish
No,
my
go ahead,
question.
I'm sorry.
And you saw that it was curved, would you then believe it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Absolutely, but let me tell you that
Elon
Elon Musk.
maybe
Let me tell you the value of this Elon Musk character right now. He shot a car into space. You guys know about that, right?
Yeah.
You know, so the Tesla Roadster, right? All right. Let me tell you what are those tires made out of? Rubber. What's the console interior have? Does it have vinyl,
Leather.
plastic, leather, glass?
There were no fluids in it, right? He made sure that there was no
Steel, aluminum, right?
no
We can
fluid
say all
in it.
those things are in there. Are any of those things? Can they last in the thermosphere? Can they last? Can they like
What do you mean by
not
last?
melt? Like what is the
Inside a space
temperature
shuttle,
of the
Like, for how, what
thermosphere?
do you mean by last? Like,
Like-
are you asking can they last for like years, or are you asking can they last
Minutes,
for hours?
seconds.
Seconds. Gotcha.
So,
No,
like,
milliseconds.
weren't they shot up inside of a spaceship? Though?
They were shot up inside of a spaceship and they sat in the boiling sun, rotating for hours and hours and hours, and nothing melted, nothing.
Assuming that the sun rotates above
No
us.
paint flicked off, nothing. It was a pristine plastic, rubber, pressurized, tired car in the infinite vacuum of space with no protection. Does that make sense?
So I have a question.
He said it was stock.
In regards to like,
Okay.
What
Well, I think if he lied about the way the condition of the car was, he probably lied
He
about
probably
the whole
lied
So you're
about the
saying
car,
that
yeah.
proves that it was a production? That proves that there is no space?
Yeah.
Well, there's a
Or-
glitch halfway through the video where it shows a sound stage for like a split second.
Gotcha.
so in regards of wanting proof, we have plenty of fantastic cameras out right now that you can link. You can get footage from very far away,
Yes.
and we also have access to
Thank you,
balloons
gentlemen.
that can
Yeah,
get us
man.
Thanks.
Take it easy,
Hey,
guys.
way up into
he's
the
on.
atmosphere.
He's the man.
Yes.
Could you not attach one to that yourselves?
Yes.
Send it into the atmosphere.
Yes.
And then look what comes out of that.
Yes.
And if it's flat, you could be like, I'm right.
And
if
they
it's round,
have
you
that.
could be
Like,
like,
they've had 120,000 feet.
you did.
Yeah.
And it was
Not me specifically, but there are groups of
Well,
flat earthers that have done that.
And
just
non-flat
to,
earthers
you
have
know,
done it too.
essentially.
Actually,
proving yourself,
non-flat
yes.
earthers have confirmed it as well. There's tons of like college experiments. You can look on YouTube.
Yeah,
I
Just
want
like
to
you
know
have
what
to,
theory, to be honest.
well, you just have to specifically look for a type of camera. Like for
Oh,
instance,
I
you
do
know
have a
what fisheye
question.
lens is?
What do you guys think
Yeah,
about Simon
GoPro? So
Well, okay,
GoPro
so
would curve the-
for
the-
my
so you
opinion
want
is that this
flat
is an enclosed
camera,
system.
like a dog cam or something.
So
Okay.
this
Just look at
is
dog cam footage.
this is
Also,
And see
where
what
we
you
live,
think
and
about
it's
Why-
that's it.
my
So
question is why lie
us,
about
the
it?
more
You know?
people as we grow and grow
That's up to
in
them,
population,
you know? Police
each one of the
investigates
cars that are
murder.
running is like
You
a
know, he's gonna
it's like
assess the murder
a heater,
first
you know, like
and
an
say,
engine
"This is the situation,"
running in this system.
before he even
So
knows
everything
about
that
it.
we are doing in this system is
Right?
absolutely
We're trying to get
as
you guys to do,
altogether
we
is
have our own
absolutely
speculations,
affecting
but we need
the
more detectives
natural
on this. We need more people to look at the
atmosphere,
crime,
the natural
come to
physics,
your
or
own
natural
conclusion, and maybe
that's going
all
on
of
in
us
here.
together
So,
get out these
but
people
I
who
think
are
that it can
killing
take care of itself.
They're making
It's
$52
made that it will
million
be able
a
to
day.
take care of
That's
itself.
one
So
end of it.
we're changing
I mean,
some
just so
things,
you know,
but we're
if
seeing
these
it. We're
are
seeing it
elites who are
in
doing it.
warmer
if they're
temperatures
children out of
sometimes, or we're seeing it in.
So
I don't think so.
I
I have a
mean,
question.
I don't think
So
an elite-
essentially,
we
they
all
haven't
can do
proven it
stuff
to
as they
us.
if-
Thus, we should,
uh,
believe them,
no,
right? They
those are
haven't
not
shown me
elite.
any
You-
real proof. They just
I
tell
mean,
me,
You're
things, right?
elite people.
Like the
That's
government-
that's the
They-
conclusion that I
So
came
the
to.
government just tells us
They're
things, and
not
I don't know whether or not
honestly
it's
playing
true.
with
So
us.
I should do my own
They're not
investigation.
hanging
That's
out
the- yes,
with
that's
So
what
should
I-
I get vaccinated?
yeah.
They got their own people.
So is
No, that's a serious question. Should I get vaccinated?
I personally
As I
have
said
done
earlier, that is
research in that, and I
here's
will-
the quantity you need of
will
oil
not
of
take a flu shot again in my life.
So I should not get vaccinated.
But I'm not telling you what to believe what I believe. I'm telling you that it's okay to do your own research. So if you did research on it and seen the things that was put into some of those vaccines,
It's the disease. It's what it is.
okay.
I mean, they put the disease in it.
All right, I've heard other things too, but I'm not gonna need. I don't need to bring that up. But you can through
So
the
the
research.
conclusion
I've
is
done.
to also don't get vaccinated.
That's my belief on that subject is my
Hey, why is
take the red pill or the blue pill, kind of like the
yeah,
Matrix.
but is it like red pill, like the whole like there's like a lot more to that like ideology or whatever. Is it just like a flat earth red pill, or are you saying like there are other
Well,
things?
listen,
like,
so okay, let's say after learning about flat Earth, I was not a conspiracy person at all.
okay.
So there is a lot that came with it for me after seeing that they would lie to me about the shape of the Earth, and then there's other research that I've done myself and came up to my own conclusions about other things that they've lied about. So.
I have a question. So you said that like above us there's like a barrier or something. So like where's the sun?
Okay, so they would be like this. The sun is closer and smaller, and it circles above us.
So we can reach the sun technically, like if it's within. If we can reach the barrier and the sun's within the barrier.
Well, if we're feeling the heat from the sun right here,
but we could like sense
how would they? I mean, if they went towards that direction, I don't think.
I gotta go. But thank you.
All right, great, awesome.
But if you wanted to like prove that it's so close, you could send something there. And if it gets like within a certain distance, it would burn up.
Well, we don't have that technology.
How do we not have the technology?
So we don't have that technology.
You don't. Okay.
So anything that the people who do have that technology is showing us is not what it is. They're just keeping on the mainstream.
Is there like a scientific precedent that says like the sun can like spin just by itself over a flat disk?
I'm not. My dad built.
I think it's electromagnetism.
I have a friend.
If we can launch things to the barrier, that's pretty close to where the sun is, I'm assuming. And if we're feeling it from all the way down here, why aren't they burning up there?
What is it?
Like anything that, like when you talked about rocket ships being launched and then they hit like a barrier.
Wait, when he was talking about that?
Yeah,
I just know. All I know about is the U.S. government and the Russian government shot rockets straight up, and for 2 years or something like that, and to try to see what was up there. So I mean, that's all I know about.
Let's do one thing at a time.
I don't know about.
I know, but I'm trying to explain too. So if my phone is connected to my AirPods,
sure, these are
how far away the AirPods are.
Images, official NASA images,
right?
and then this is one that I found that was made, may or may not have been made by an eighth grade student with the curve of the Earth. He did pretty good. He took a picture of that, his satellite in space, right?
Same way you can do that
with the curve of the Earth.
Thank you for explaining. If the Earth is flat, why are so many of our taxes?
Yeah, right. I know. $52 billion a day. I think they actually just got a bump up. That's $19 billion a year. I think it's like $22 billion now for this year.
Because I'm a student of astrophysics.
Okay.
And I'm going into that sort of thing. Okay. So why employ that many people?
But I don't think anything that I am saying today will affect you in the least in the career that you're going into. You're already set into that career, and everything that they say is what you're gonna believe. So I mean, I believed. Oh my goodness! Until 2 years ago, I believed everything. I would have loved to have gone back to school and become an astrophysicist before 2 years ago. But now it's completely changed.
Well, have you ever heard of the scientific principle of Occam's razor?
The simplest
explanation.
Now, water sticking to the outside of a spinning ball, but we have to make up a theory of gravity to hold us onto the outside of a spinning ball when it could just be a plane. We're not moving, just like we feel. The sun, moon, and stars, they circle above us, just like we see. That's simpler to me.
All right.
Anything high altitude, rocking 120,000 feet, it's flat. No curvature. You see things way too far. We can see things like 1,000 miles in the distance. Shoot, 25,000 miles.
So do you guys believe in like
shouldn't see anything 1,000 miles away?
Well, I've filmed all the other planets with my P900 and zoomed in. Saw all the little orbitals around the rings of Saturn and the orbitals that are up there. And they are lights in the sky, and they are predicted lights, and they go around and do their pattern, and they've always known what the pattern that they're going to do is. So I don't know what the stars are made out of.
Why would they lie?
That's what I was told when I was growing up.
Well, let's just boil it down. Control.
Why do you guys have the
I'm live on YouTube.
Yeah. Like, where does the farmer, trick the cattle?
Do you have any more?
Reality in a certain way.
But are they trying to like slaughter us?
They're getting a product out of it. So
Okay.
we're producing, we're productive members of society, we're creating technology, robots, artificial intelligence. I am anti-global. I'm I think the global agenda is a lie.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It's world domination. It's easy to prove. All you have to do is look at the fact that the Earth is flat, and if there's a global organization that exists on a flat Earth, that doesn't make sense. They're obviously, not the good guys.
So how do they control me if I believe the Earth is round?
Well,
You believe the Earth is round, and everything you do works on a round Earth just fine. But it doesn't necessarily work on a flat Earth just fine.
How so?
Because a lot of things are contradictory. Like, for instance, people, and I'm going to get spiritual here because I'm just trying to outline how deep this goes, is that, you know, if you look at it like this from a spiritual aspect, if this is a creation and something set this up, there's a creator, right? They're telling you that he doesn't exist and you live on a ball in an infinite void of
No one's
nothing.
saying he doesn't exist. The dollar says in God we trust.
Well, Time Life magazine said God is dead. So
I don't care about
what are you
Time Life. That's not the USA. That's not NASA.
I'm talking about the corporate world. I'm talking about the corporate worlds that control us, that enslave us. Those guys are not religious. They're not spiritual. They're not. We love God. They are not those guys. They're the opposite. Okay. So what we're just saying is just like, look at it from that perspective. Like, let's say there was a creator. That's what they're trying to hide. They just don't want you to recognize that you live or exist in some sort of creation.
They're not trying to hide that. The Republican Party is ultimately like
I have a legitimate question.
no, like Trump believes in God.
When
Doesn't mean
people like
anything.
He's one of
fly
the biggest
from
capitalists.
California
God
to
doesn't believe
Japan,
it. Okay.
I mean, what
How
you're
does that
saying
work?
is that
So
people in
what
power
I
don't
heard
believe in
is
God.
that
I see religion.
this is what I bring up when I hear about that. Is they fly from Japan. Let's say Japan is here.
Oh, it's like a circle like that.
Across they miss the North Pole. They don't. Nothing goes over the North Pole.
I'm not saying
It
that.
just
I'm
goes
saying-
along the water, along the shoreline. And
Okay.
then there's an emergency landing with a woman on the plane having a pregnancy.
Saudi Arabia, one of the,
And they
one of the,
landed
like, very
in,
powerful countries, like,
Alaska.
Islam and religion.
Okay, so
On from
you believe
Japan
the story,
to
but
San
we're just
Francisco.
saying
Interesting.
there may be
So
powers
instead
that
of
be-
like on the
that
globe,
don't
you would think it would just
Donald
be
Trump says that.
quicker
Yeah,
to go
I
like
see what
that.
you're
He's
saying.
not the freaking president. He's a freaking television star. What are you guys doing? Like, realize this. Look, you guys are living
He's
in.
not the president.
I have
You're
another
living
question.
in
Are all
globalist
planets flat or
reality.
just Earth?
Everything that's
What
been
I saw
sold to you
with my
is
camera
control system.
when I zoom in on the
It
planets,
sounds
Uh-huh.
they do
crazy.
look like
It's on my
spherical
YouTube
lights up
channel.
there.
Check it out anytime.
Interesting. I wonder
It's on
why.
the back of these
It's different
flyers. If you guys want one.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
he likes to say the
I
pool
have a
table
question. I
is
asked you
flat,
this question, but I don't
but
think
the
you
pool
heard it. So,
balls
like,
aren't, or
ultimately,
the
I shouldn't.
Wait,
bowling
can I
ball
just say something? We
is
haven't done
there,
any
but
real
the
talking about
bowling lane
science
is
or anything
flat.
like that.
Yeah,
We've
okay.
been
So-
just doing these little side trails of this, and it turned into a conversation.
I'm
So
learning.
this is
yeah.
not me selling the flat Earth or anything like that, and that's not what I'm here to do. I'm just here to turn you guys onto an alternative worldview, and they may be lying to you if you actually look at the evidence and take the time to look. And I'm giving this guy my ideas and my thoughts, but we're just talking like real people. That's it.
Yeah, of course. So I asked him this question. I don't know if you heard it. So like, that ultimately, you know, what you're saying is, you know, a lot of big people in power are telling me things, and it's for their benefit, and I should ask my own questions and do my own
You
investigation.
got to find out there's fat first before you can
right?
look
So
at all
before
that
I
stuff.
believe them.
Before you care what
Yeah,
they're saying.
Understood. So
Yeah.
should I-
How does
yeah.
that even factor
I
into
know.
the equation and so you know?
I mean,
the shape of the
I'm
Earth?
just assuming what
Yeah.
you're saying is right, right? So
Right.
I'm just summarizing.
Bye.
Thus, should I get my kids vaccinated? I have no evidence.
I know.
I have no evidence that they work.
Don't do vaccines. Look at the evidence in that.
But
Look
you
at that
don't-
evidence. There's a fact slap for you. Vaccines are poison. You're killing yourself and your kids and your family and everybody with that freaking shit. I have a kid who has autism. Not a kid, not my nephew who has autism because of vaccine. The exact same month
That
he was
doesn't prove
diagnosed. It doesn't prove anything. But I've seen countless testimonies. Parents crying. They get vaxxed. Their kids are in the hospital and they're just not right.
I've worked with kids with autism. That's just that's not
Well, that's what they say. But I'm going to tell you one thing.
That's not true. Parental
my-
testimonies don't give
My
you data.
nephew
I have
is
another
sitting there.
question.
We're going off on a
Did the
tangent.
moon landing happen?
The vaccine
No.
is super
Okay,
personal
okay.
preference.
I don't think it happened either.
Do what you want.
Oh, okay.
Care about your kids, look at the evidence that supports the other story. Don't just look at the mainstream story. Because that's the problem with people today, is that everybody's getting their news from the same person. They're not getting both sides. They think they're getting both sides. They're going to CNN and NBC and they think they're different. It's the same.
But Fox News and CNN are the same person.
It's
just
the
running.
same thing. It's all the same stuff. And you guys are getting your news and your information from the same people and are telling the same story. That vaccines are okay. Your schools are okay. The government's not lying to you. Everybody cares. If you live on a ball, you live on a ball. You don't.
We don't live on a ball.
Wait,
We
I
don't.
have a question. So in Pirates of the Caribbean 3, when Captain Jack Sparrow and the Black Pearl go like off the cliff, like where is that exactly?
In your mind.
Antarctica. The cliffs in Antarctica. That's the edge
So,
here.
all right. So if the Earth is flat, then how come no one's ever fallen off?
So why wouldn't that?
The Antarctic shoreline would be
Well, you
like
fall off the
the
earth.
shoreline of the ocean.
How does that
So
work?
with Antarctica keeps going. We don't
Subjectivity.
know how long that.
So if I go in one
It's not.
direction,
It's not really giant, but it's like 200 feet.
guarding
But it's not.
Antarctica?
So
Is it the
how do you-
penguins with machine
you go in
guns?
one direction and you just go instantly in that direction. Do you end up on the other side, or do you just keep going in that
I don't
direction?
know, but there's a thing
You
called
have-
the
okay.
Yeah, can you fall off the end?
There's a thing called the Antarctic Treaty of the 60 degree parallel, and you can't go past that. That is the limitation of travel. Like you can't go past that. You have to get restrictions. You got to get them to all agree, and they have to unanimously co-sign to say, hey, it's okay for you guys to go explore Antarctica. It has to be a unanimous decision between like what 50-something nations or 40-something nations. They all have to agree. So you can't just go and explore. Nobody's falling off the edge because you'd probably just be thrown in jail.
What would it take?
You'd have to go into space.
You'd have to go to space. Is that the only way?
No, like I'm genuinely like I'm not arguing. Like,
Sure. I'm trying to think of a way because I've answered this question like 10 times, so I'm trying to think of a new way to word it. But I'm not computer. So say the question again.
Like, what would it take for the
I would have to see. I would have to know that there's. I would have to see a ball under my feet. I would have to know that.
But you can't see it because it's so big.
I would have to be able to see from the right height, right up to where you should. If you got high enough, you should be able to see it.
How about-
What if so if your friend went up into space
How
and
about-
saw a round Earth and came down and told you that he saw a round Earth, would you believe it if you hadn't seen it for yourself?
I don't know.
How about an uncut video?
That's like a belief thing.
From NASA
So
in
you would
4K.
have to personally go up
everybody
there.
has.
Well,
No, hey,
I'm
how about
just
this?
telling you, that's a belief. If you're saying, would you believe your friend? I say, yeah, that's a belief. I know what a belief and I know what a fact is. I know what truth is. So, yeah, I believe my friend is telling the truth, but is that science? Is that fact?
So
in
you
my
wouldn't
head?
know
No, that's just
until
I believe
you
my
went up
friend.
there.
That's a belief. That's religion.
So you wouldn't know unless you went up there yourself.
Unless I went up there, I saw, I was able to see it, I was able to confirm it.
How about this?
Otherwise, the Earth
A
is flat.
4K
Yeah.
camera mounted
You'd
on the
think that
outside
is
of one of
ridiculous
those
for people
rockets
to be able to go to
from
Simulation.
from
Simulation.
the ground
Yeah.
from the ground until it connected
Should
to
be- should be
the
hard.
ISS.
They'll simulate the footage. You never know if it's real.
They always do.
Yes, so
They
that
always
doesn't
do
prove it.
cuts and they always.
Yep.
So you wouldn't know. That wouldn't prove it.
You would know.
You have to go up there yourself.
We're telling you. We're not saying we're trying to prove you.
Yeah.
We're saying that you have no proof for us. You have no proof of a ball for us. You have nothing for us to believe. We want to believe you. We want to believe with you guys and fall back into the fold and be followers again. Don't love you. But I can't do that because I would have to believe. Me, I want to know.
That's a good looking group.
The government can control you.
Well, I mean, like,
Control you with anything else. Why?
if they can fool you, they can fool you. If they lie to you, you don't say like, listen, you have
Welcome,
to-
guys. 13 viewers.
Something and you're like, don't do that, that's bad. Okay, that's good. Yep, there's things that they tell you to control. Why do you think that
We're told that already.
Dangerous about saying like the Earth is a ball.
What's dangerous about it?
Like, why is that saying that? Like,
Well, it's a ball, right? So you can't go-
Bling bling, the BS of the ISS. Welcome.
What about the planets? Are they flexible? They could be round? So planets are
Hey, Ben. I got a new selfie stick, so hopefully the footage is a little bit better today. 16 viewers, welcome. 5 thumbs up. Hanging out on the campus of Northwestern.
So wait, so I have a real question, right? So the government so they told us it was flat first, and then they told us.
Got a good crowd today.
And the Russian space administration.
Been going for an hour and 10 minutes now. Steve hasn't lost his voice at all.
They spend it on NASA. Well, they're shutting actually NASA. They're shutting down the space program because that's big money.
And by the way, the ISS is over 40 years overdue. Like it should be running 40 years ago. So it's still going. But they have still going. Who's your favorite? I don't know. They're all liars.
Who takes the money?
It's all fake.
Who takes
it's
the
all
money?
lies. Nobody's taking money. Just in it. Who takes these money?
So I have a question for you, right? So the government lies to us. They tell us ISIS exists because they want us to spend our tax dollars on the military, right?
Hello. They want to send you to.
So the government lies. So I know.
It's a very profitable thing.
Yeah. Let me just finish the question. So
They
the
make a
government,
lot of money on war.
so the government lies to us about ISIS to get us to spend money on war. Government lies to us about the Earth being flat. Then what?
I don't know, man. Do you care?
How does that change my life?
Well, let me ask you this question. Rather than answering your question, do you care whether the Earth is flat or not?
Wouldn't affect me. I care whether ISIS exists.
Do you care whether the Earth is flat or not? Do you care that they lied to you about you living on a spinning ball?
No.
Since birth? You don't?
It wouldn't
Okay, then
change
we
my
have no
life.
conversation. I have nothing to tell you. Because I can't convince you of reality if you don't want it. If you think that reality is absurd and obtuse, you're not going to learn about that reality. You're not going to get to that level.
That's not what
Go
I said.
Go ahead.
Do you guys think other planets are flat too, or is it just?
Well, I've filmed them with my P900, and when I zoom in, at 83 times zoom, they do look spherical. I can see what they call the rings of the Saturn, but actually Saturn when I zoom in, it just looks like an eyeball, kind of. It looks like like that, and then there's little orbitals that go around.
They're lights in the sky, luminaries. So, and what we observe above us doesn't necessarily suggest
Stars,
below.
stars and planets.
So,
The planets have their own, or I call them planets because that's what I've always been told that they're called. I don't have any other name for it.
the original thing for planets was actually wandering star too. So that was the original definition for planet.
So
What's the
it's
difference between a star and a planet? In your definition.
Wandering star.
What's the difference between a star and a planet physically?
It moves.
Wait,
So
so
wait,
you're not.
wait,
Hold on.
wait,
Hold on.
Position.
The sun's a star. The sun moves around us.
Well, that's the heliocentric. We're talking about flat Earth.
No. So the sun moves around us.
Right, I see
I'm
the
saying
sun.
what you
I
guys
see
do.
the sun
sun
moving
is not a
stars.
star.
I see the sun moving around us.
No, in flat Earth, the sun is not.
What is the sun?
It's a type of luminary. It is, but it's not a star.
Wait,
What's
so
a
you
what's
say
the
that
difference? What's a
how the
luminary?
Earth's stationary
Absolutely.
What is it made
So
of?
it's neither. So the sun is neither a star nor a planet.
I don't know. That's up to
Is
you.
that what you're saying?
How do
It's
you
up to me
explain
what it's
how
made
you
of?
can see different stars in the sky that during different seasons if the stars don't move themselves?
The sky is moving. The actual ether is moving. So where you see the lights in the sky, they are moving.
It's
They're
a physical boundary
It's
above
like a
us
clock.
that is
So
moving.
so everything is moving in the same direction, in the same rotation, and then what it is, it's like a clock. So you got the sun and the moon are like the hour or minute hand, and then you got the stars, and those are like the seconds and all the other stuff, months or whatever, seasons. So that's just how it works.
So,
It's just like
so only
think of
Earth
it as like
is
a
flat,
giant.
Wait, so assuming
not anything else.
Landed on or gone to
What about
or
Mars?
It's
Mars
fake.
rover?
no.
So like assuming
Devon Island. Look into that. Go into Google, type in Devon Island, and then type in NASA-based Devon Island, and then you'll see the same Mars rover in the same environment that looks like Mars on Devon Island.
So assuming
So
that
you
like,
guys think the Mars rover is fake when he's saying himself happy birthday every year? Y'all think that shit was fake? 'Cause
Well,
that
it's
got
not.
me
It's
crying.
real. It's on Devon Island.
What kind of battery does it have? Or
Man,
is
I
it
don't know
is
the
it
kind that he's singing a song
It's I'm sorry.
That shit's sad.
I'm so sorry.
It's solar.
It exists. It exists. It's real. It's just here on Earth.
So like assuming that like there's like a flat plane, right?
Yeah.
And the sun is like here sometimes. What stops like the entire Earth from being lit up the entire time? Because like
So
the sun
that's
is...
a good question. The sun is not as big as you think it is, and it's not as high as you think it is. It's about 3,000 miles up.
So right now the sun is
About
above us,
4,000 feet.
and then it starts
Wait,
going.
so you think the sun's like 3,000 miles away from us? Or
Project. It's not an exact science because this is what we know. We know the Earth is flat. We can confirm that. You know. Now, what are the objects in the sky? Can we go up to them and touch them and see what they are? We can't do that.
Can you speak to how you know that the Earth is flat?
Yeah, easily. For one thing, we could see too far. That's a big, no-brainer. It's like if you could see too far, if the Earth is a certain distance
And that's taking
diameter.
into account refraction.
Refraction, everything. You can see way further than what they say. You
So
should be able
ship
to see.
sails off.
Not
And
like
you can't take
100
into account
times, not 200
elevation.
times, not 300 times, but like 900 times the
What?
distance that you say.
900
Okay,
times.
that's Waukegan.
So the longest. I'm gonna step over here.
Waukegan Pier. I was watching boats go across Lake Michigan. So then the boats will go far enough away that I couldn't see them.
I've done it before where I look through binoculars and I see the boat disappear.
Right, and then I take my P900 camera with the 83 times zoom, and I zoom in and I bring that image back of the boat. It was farther than my eye could see, then I use my camera. So I bring that image in, then the boat disappears again, farther than where my camera zoomed in on it. I can zoom in again and bring that boat. So it's more, it's flat. It's, you
So I
can
have a
see
question for you.
further than.
So when I was a kid, I lived in a very mountainous area. So I'd be at the bottom of the mountain, I'd see the sunset, and then I'd climb up the mountain, and then I'd see the sun again, and then I'd climb higher up the mountain.
So the perspective, the higher up off of any plane you are, or curve you are, you would see further.
No, but the sun is going off the edge. This is the edge of the Earth. The sun is going down.
The sun doesn't go down. The sun orbits are on the top of there. So right now the sun is right here above the United States, or a little bit further.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna.
Wait, so when I see the sun set, where does it go?
It goes away.
Where?
Into the perspective.
So they're saying that like the sun is lower and smaller than you think it is, so it's like kind of like a.
You're saying the sun circulates above me, but I'm saying I see the sun go down this way.
Because that's perspective. Everything above you goes to the horizon. Everything below you rises up to the horizon.
You got to remember that a flat Earth map looks like this, where it's spread out like that, not a globe. So all the lands are just like this. So the sun will circle around like this. All right, that's
it actually goes this way.
Down.
It actually goes this way.
Well, that way.
So if it's circling, so if a bird circles above my head, I see it circling. I see the bird circling.
Then you better run.
Wait, what? Wait, why don't we see the sun just like go, like whatever direction it goes, and just disappear? Like
it is. It's
Yeah, so
going.
when I see a plane fly away, when a plane flies from South America to Australia, the plane doesn't disappear into the Earth. The plane disappears into the distance. Theoretically, the sun, which is also going above
small,
the Earth.
and it's so far away from you that it's
But if you use your
angular
P900,
size.
you would see the plane disappear like this.
No, it just keeps going. It goes into the.
Then why does the
it goes
sun
into
disappear like
horizon.
this? If okay, so we're saying the sun goes around us and the plane goes around us.
It's not. It's
No, because
going.
like
Everything.
like you know, like guys, you see, like,
The plane? No, he's saying the plane. So he's saying the plane will go into the horizon.
like through your perspective, like it'll go into the
And then it'll just disappear because it's too small.
I got another question.
So how
So if the sun is hot, then why is space cold?
Space doesn't exist.
No space.
wait,
There's a dome over our heads.
Possibly.
so what's outside the dome?
That'd be
It's just continues.
what we
God
need to.
knows.
We're working on what's inside right now. It's beyond anything that I could imagine. If whatever is outside of that was able to create this, there's nothing I can imagine.
Where do the rockets go? Like, you send them in, like, up in space?
There was the Bermuda Triangle, but and then
Well, actually, do you know if
kept
you
from
send rockets
Florida.
up, they hit the barrier and
No,
fall back down?
not the ones that are shooting up from NASA. You actually see them park over, and by the time they get out of your view, because they're going over the water, right? They're not going to shoot them over land, so we can follow them. They shoot them out over into the water, into the ocean, and they go down. They land.
But then, like, how do the astronauts get back?
I would never strap myself to. I don't. No astronaut would ever strap themselves to the top of a rocket like that.
But I know that there is this thing called the
So,
Yes.
I had a guest question for one of my friends. He's asking, how come from the latitude 45 degrees south it's never visible? That wouldn't work on a flat Earth.
Yes, it would. So if it's the sky is not that far.
Yeah.
The sky's right there.
Yeah.
So if you have a light in a big, let's say a big warehouse,
Yeah.
and one light on one side of the room, and then you walk all the way to the other side of the room,
Yeah.
and the lights you wouldn't see the light anymore.
Right.
If you had a ball here,
So it'd be the same as if the in the center is where the North Star is, Polaris, and the Big Dipper is circling around here. So if you're on this side of the room, you're not going to see the light that's on the ceiling on the other side of the room.
So that's all part of your theory that like there's some like sky that's moving in a certain
Right, just like we see.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
look up and we see the sun, moon, and stars circling above us.
So it would be like, yeah,
but I think the way that I learned about it is that the Terminator illusion comes into play because the horizon is not subject to things like shortening. It becomes like a red herring in terms of visual cues.
it becomes a lens at a certain point. Yeah.
That's not how my understanding.
So I have a question
Yeah.
for you. So about 500 years ago, the general belief was that the Earth is flat,
Okay.
and then using some mathematical transformations and observing astronomy, they decided that because of the angles of observation of the sun to the Earth, the different angles that calculated it, that the Earth was spherical. So why did they switch over to the Earth as spherical view? This is before any of the modern governments we have today even existed.
Right.
America didn't exist. So why would the American government, the Russian government,
I
push
can't.
this idea?
I can't. Well, when they
The burden of proof is on you.
because it's really not, but because they figured it out. The space agencies or Russia and the United States figured out that there was a there's something here. Admiral Byrd was exploring Antarctica for the better part of 30 years, and he must have found something. And then after he found something in Antarctica, they started shooting the rockets straight up. So they found an outside barrier, whatever they found, and they're trying to see how tall the ceiling is. So they knew the dimensions. So that they had to, instead of telling us that whatever they've been doing with their calculations for the past 500 years was wrong, they decided to create NASA, and create the space station, and make sure that we needed a picture of Earth from space in 1972. That's when they took it, coming back from the last Apollo mission. They didn't take any of them during the other Apollo missions, but on the way back, they took a full picture of the Earth. And that was the only picture of what they call a blue marble that we had until 2002.
Okay.
Over 30 years.
So you're claiming that the evidence that NASA and other space agencies are reporting is fabricated, it's not real. However, you're showing some other evidence saying that rockets are going straight out here the barrier and coming down.
Oh, I don't know if that's what the government decided. The government did. I know that they did shoot rockets straight up in the air.
But how can you say that that's true and that happened and yet discount all the other evidence? What makes you the decider of what's real evidence and
The
what was
evidence
fabricated?
coming from
believe in
NASA.
God, right?
Absolutely. This place was created for us, for you.
So you believe in God?
Absolutely.
I mean, I believe in God.
This is
I'm saying the
whatever
question is-
created this, and
Yeah,
now
but-
I know.
but why
And
don't you
now I
believe
know
in
that
it?
the creator is right here.
How do you believe in God though?
Because
You have no proof. I mean, so
Oh.
you said
this place was
No,
created.
but you said the only way you could believe the Earth was round is if you went up into a rocket and saw it. Not your friend, not me. You went up into a rocket. You said that
will
is
never
the only,
be.
that will never happen, right? You said that is the only way I will ever believe.
Okay.
So how do you believe in God? Did you go up and see him?
Oh,
I mean, I'm not making fun of you. Like I wear a cross, right? I mean, I believe in God.
Yeah, I'm religious too.
Right? Like I've worn this for the past 5 years, right? I believe in God.
Well,
My
I
question to you
have
is,
my own things that have happened in my life, and I can just looking around. I feel that this is what he created. So this is.
That's your
I
proof.
have my own proof.
That's a
Well,
feeling.
I don't need. I
If
can't
you look at the
explain
system
that.
in place, like for instance, the Earth is flat, and then you have these luminaries that are kind of set up a certain way, and all these things. It was made like that's not a natural phenomenon. Nothing's going to naturally make sure that the sun and the moon, when they eclipse, they're exactly the right size, so it exactly lines up at certain times, and it's always on the same day, the same month. You could count comets in the sky that come every 10 years. Like it's crazy. It's like everything is like a big clock, and it's so accurate, it's so perfect. that is not random nothingness, especially if
That's
you
not
live on a
proof.
flat plane.
That's not proof.
It's not proof.
Couldn't the
It
Earth
doesn't prove
also just
anything.
be
Just trying to get you to
created
think.
perfectly round? Like by
Well,
whatever creator there's like.
it could, but then you would have a perfectly round Earth. That's what we're saying. Is there's
you
no
don't.
round. You have the roundness is here, but when you go out here and you actually test the roundness, the roundificationness, it doesn't exist.
Right. So
How long are you guys gonna
what
be here,
are
by the way? I have a friend who wants to come.
We'll be walking around.
We'll be around.
Nice, nice.
What are your thoughts on gravity?
Gravity is a theory and it's a con story. And as a matter of fact, if you look at it, a lot of people even quote Newtonian gravity when it's been debunked by Einstein. So they say things like, oh, well, things have mass and therefore gravity, blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, Einstein debunked your stupid gravity.
Well, no, that's
Gravity
not what
is-
Einstein said.
It's
Einstein
space
said
and
that
time. No,
Einstein
Newtonian
said that
has
Newtonian
been
gravity
debunked.
is a generalization for the Earth's surface. Newton thought that
It was
gravity.
disproven. Yeah.
No, it was only disproven for
No,
outside
he
the
says
Earth.
Einstein says
a
it's space time.
generalization.
Space time. He says space and time create gravity. He doesn't say it has to do with mass. He says it's space.
Yeah,
and
space
time.
time creates gravity, but mass deflects that. It changes.
Sure,
the shape
sure.
Of it.
You're
That's-
just but you're just sinking it in the back door. I'm just saying that right now the standard isn't Newtonian. You can't go into a university and say,
standard is student-
and
I-
we're
I'm
going to
a
learn
physics major here.
Newtonian gravity today, and that's all we're going to know. And no, you learn
You learn
Einstein.
both. You learn both.
Yeah, you learn the wrong and then you get the right first. That's how you do it. They
That's
show
not,
you.
Sir, that's not how it works.
I'm just joking here, but I'm just saying that you're going off of confirmation bias. You're appealing to authority. You're saying that they're telling you the truth. I'm saying that's a story. It's a story. Gravity is a theory. It's explained by density and buoyancy. That's observable. That's proven.
Did you get one of
You
these?
don't need gravity. You know what you need gravity? To stick to a spinning ball in outer space. And the end.
Steve, I need some more. I need some more pamphlets.
But you don't need
objects
gravity
work?
on a flat plane. It doesn't even have to equate to everything.
I ran out.
No, but it does. So when you
How
jump
does
and
it?
you land back down, why do you come to rest
Density
in the
and
flat-
buoyancy.
That's not how that works.
You're heavier than the air, so you come back down.
I know, but then how do you rise up in the first place?
You jumped. You used lift and muscles to propel yourself off the ground.
Yes, you translated kinetic energy into gravitational potential energy, and then came
No.
back down.
You're saying gravitational potential. I'm just saying you lifted off the ground by jumping, and then you use the buoyancy of the air to hold your jump for a split second and then fall back down.
Right, to jump,
Yeah.
the force that I use in my legs has
Yes.
to be greater than the force of gravity propelled down.
Yeah, if gravity was real, then how do you walk around? How does a butterfly flap its wings when it's got to hold thousands and trillions of tons of water stuck to the equator
Wait,
while
you
it's
said we're
spinning?
heavier than the air, so we fall back down.
Yes.
So what? Like,
It's okay. No, it's density and buoyancy. Like a helium balloon will rise. The
so
gas.
what dictates weight? And us-
Sure, mass could come into play. Sure, you can say mass dictates weight. Why not? All that stuff still exists. All that stuff is still relevant. I still believe that the science that goes into making a phone exists. I still believe that all that stuff exists. It's provable. It's working.
It's
It's functioning.
scientism.
Yeah, that's just engineers at work here. Scientism is you're relinquishing your understanding of the world to an authority. You're appealing to an authority.
And
You're
believing
saying-
them.
You're saying that they are scientists and they say that
Believing
this,
in
so
them.
it has to be that way. But there's a problem because that's a religion. Because that's what you do in a church. You go to the deacon or the pope or whoever, and they're in control, and that's where you're getting your information from. But that is not science. Nothing about that is scientific. That is just a monarchy just to set up in place to control the information. That's all it is. So if it was real science, first of all, if it was real science, science would be free and open to all. If you think it is, you're lying to yourself. Secondly, if science was legitimate and it was like not being corrupt or whatever, there would be an impossible task. Everything that exists on Earth has been corrupted. You have politics, you have media, you have everything. You don't think scientific academia could be corrupted? It's all corruptible, all of it. None of it is safe. You can't say science is safe because it's science. I get it. Math doesn't lie. Numbers don't lie, but people lie. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. I can lie with numbers all day. That doesn't prove anything. It's a story. That's all it is. And when you're a baby and they put in your crib that little thing that spins around with the planets and the globes and stuff, that's what they've been doing to us since the start. They've been putting in our heads, you live here, you live on a ball, you live on a ball. You've never seen a ball, you've never seen a ball, you've never seen a ball, but you all know you live on a ball? How does that work? How does that work? How do we walk around knowing something we don't know? How does that even exist? It's insane. All you experience is a flat plane.
The evidence that we have while existing, you can discredit any evidence that I give you by saying that it's fabricated by this system. And
I can say no. I can discredit not just saying it. I can discredit it by proving to you that you can objectively prove that they're lying. When you can see Chicago from the other side of Lake Michigan, 60 miles away, and they're telling you it's a mirage, and you can go out there in different times of the day, and you notice that with less heat in the atmosphere, less moisture in the atmosphere, you could see further. And they're going to tell you that moisture is causing that. When you have high amounts of moisture, it's being obstructed. What are they telling you? They're telling you stories for stories for stories. That's all it is. It's just somebody put another story in place. And then you'll say, oh, but this. And then somebody say, well, we have this story. Well, this, but they have this story. So ultimately, it's going to come down to you. Are you going to just believe a story, or are you going to go out and prove reality for yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we're saying.
Well, I'm going to go out and prove reality for myself.
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, yes. Much love.
We go this way.
All right.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
The Earth is flat.
Yeah, I just wanted to warn you guys, since you guys people who aren't on the campus,
Where's the campus?
like you're on like the private campus property right now, so you can get credit for that. So you do this, you can't go past the arch or like the other side of the street.
All right, thank you.
So like if anyone were to call the police on you guys, you would probably.
Oh, I'm sorry. We've encountered a police and everything. We just go through it because it's we're used to it.
Gotcha. It's just like you guys aren't the first people like
No.
have platforms like this.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
There's millions of us
I was.
out there.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
just
know
like
we were gonna get stopped for that long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We keep it moving. Where you want to go?
Man, that was good.
That was horrible and good at the same time. I got lost there for a little bit. Thanks for reeling me back. A couple times you came in, you're just like, hey, it's okay. It's all right. The earth is still flat.
What did I say? Yeah, he talks a lot.
Yeah. Oh,
They were raising their hands. People had questions. They had to raise their hand to get.
yeah, and then my problem
They're
was
like, well, I didn't want to cut him off.
I messed up because I started going down those like little crazy.
He did that on
offshoots of-
purpose.
Yeah, and I was just like, fuck, what am I doing? Don't do that. It's like you're just making yourself look stupid. And then when you talk religion, and they all get upset, and you see them get talking about God again.
Yeah. Reconnecting. I think I probably just lost everybody.
They'll come back.
Oh, that.
You know what?
I'm still recording. Look at that. I'm 100%. Viewers.
16 viewers. Sorry, guys. I dropped the ball on that one. I think I was doing horribly. I'm usually better than this.
I thought you were awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I thought I was horrible though. Some days I have the words and other days I don't. I feel like I'm grasping at straws and I'm using words as substitutes and they're not like the best words for the explanation. Shelly always corrects me and she's like, you said this, but it should be that. Like I say, nip it in the butt. She's like, nip it in the bud.
Oh.
It's in the bud, not the butt.
It actually warmed up a little bit.
It did, but I think that's just because we've been standing. Did you say you need more flyers?
No, you gave me some.
All right.
It's hardcore coming out here in this cold weather.
Yeah. Oh man, I was such a wuss too when I got in the car. I was like, ugh, freezing.
Hello. She said hi. Yeah. That's good. Questions, shape of the earth? Hello.
That one guy got triggered. He's like, you get that camera out of my face.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
To you?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was like, all right, I'm out. I was like, no problem, man. Take it
Well,
easy.
when they asked what we were recording, and I said live on YouTube, you know, people
Yeah.
like we noticed before, they act a little bit different.
True.
Okay, you want to say goodbye?
All right, guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
I had a great time at Northwestern University.
That we did.
They called the truck on us.
Oh man.
The paddy wagon. Oh,
What's up?
right, I'm gonna cancel and switch the camera.
It's funny when I say simple things like,
Everyone keep it flat. A lot of pictures taken today from us, so everyone wanted a picture with the signs.
You're the best, man.